Hello and welcome to RGDS, your retro gaming discussion show. It's your host, Paul Driscoll, aka the Drisk, and joining me is the man himself. Yes, it's Gordon King, aka Kingy. How are you, buddy? How are things?
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty shattered, 'tis the season, but I'm good and excited to be talking retro games.
Oh, I know. Always excited to be speaking retro games. But I cannot believe we're almost pushing on to the December period, you know, that festive thing. We were only at Arcade Club a few weeks ago, surely, and now...
I know.
We're you know, that wasn't on the... Now it's like, shit, I've not bought any presents, I better start, you know, all those kind of plans that December brings, and, you know, what we always think of at that time of the year, especially when you're on annual leave, is gaming time. Oh yeah, bring it on. It's 2 weeks of doing nothing but playing games and negating your responsibility as a parent.
Yeah. Although, I'm the same way. I've started to buy presents, but mostly for me.
And is it a surprise when you open it on Christmas Day?
It's
Paul
always a
from
surprise.
Paul. Ooh,
Yeah.
I wonder what this could be.
Oh, just what I've always wanted.
Exactly what you've wanted.
To be fair, I've already opened it because I'm that impatient. I picked up the Taito Egret Mini.
Now, the thing about the Egret, that's only one letter away from regret. So, is it? So,
oh no!
How is it then?
Yeah, really, really good. Actually, I do need to do. I see there's a flash update that will, because one of the things I noticed is the screen just slightly squished on Bubble, which was a shame.
No.
It's really pedantic to notice, but it's like, you know, notice. But apparently the free flash update will fix it. So I just need to pick up an S.
So that's an official flash update for it from the firmware from the company.
supplier,
So it showed you they got grief from the fans and the purchasers of it. It's like, you screwed up Bubble. You can't screw up any screen ratios of any beloved arcade game. So you've got, was it 22 games or something on that thing? So it's a curated list, right? And all eyes will be on it, staring at it, going, you better get this right. So
yeah, and fair dues actually. It's a great lineup of games on it. And you know, it's got some of my favourites, as I say, Bubble. Unfortunately, it's got which I thought was a bit of a shame. I guess it's a copyright of the music, but it's got Rainbow Islands Extra, not Rainbow Islands.
Oh.
But
there's nothing wrong with Rainbow Islands Extra, but I'm quite a purist in that way of the versions I want to play.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I think there's loads of classics and New Zealand stories on there and all of those. Rastan I love and stuff like that. I must admit, it's quite cute to see Mira, my granddaughter. She's been quite taken to it. She's still not skilled enough to play it, but I was, because I've been on night shift, so I was also taking a little doze before I start work. Okay. And Molly woke me up saying, Mira's asking, can you help her? And she wanted Bubble on. See, she's a girl with taste.
Absolute taste. Yeah. Well done.
So they couldn't work out, 3 girls between them, 2 of them adults, so they couldn't work out how to.
And you said to them, girls, you're staring at the washing machine, for goodness sake.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a really, really good little device. I love the fact because you can push the screen in and turn. That never gets old. So you can turn it to vertical and horizontal.
I keep looking at my own arcade cab with an idea of creating some mechanical rotational thing for the vertical games, you know. But it's too much faff. But in a perfect world, you can press, not even physically do it, just press a button and it electronically, mechanically does it for you, because I'm so lazy, you know. It's like, just do it. Do it for me, present.
How this does it is quite good. I guess it's a lot easier on a mini device, but you just literally push the screen in and it comes out on a...
It's like a pop-up tap on your sink.
It is, and then just twist it and then put it back. It's quite works quite well.
That's quite good, as long as the screen itself's robust for fingers going. You can just imagine if you're quite a regular person that flips between vertical and horizontal, it's going to have a lot of finger marks on the screen anyway.
Well, you've got the bevel, so you could
you do it on that.
The bevel,
okay.
yeah, you press.
Right, yeah.
If you're sensible, you press on the bevel. But besides, I got a mirror that's like sat there with sticky paws. I'm frantically having to wash. It's let's be honest, it's going to get sticky. That.
Yeah, she's had a whole packet of toffee pops or something.
Yeah, it was usually an ice lolly, even though it's freezing cold. She comes back
that and cheesy Wotsits or something.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, no, so I've been having a lot of fun with that. So I mean, have you been up to anything retro-wise?
Oh, you know what? I've just my life now it's been so blinking. Work has been insanely busy. With one staff member down, and that just only two of us in. It just made it. But so you come home burnt out. But then, just for punishment, there was a bonus edition of Crash magazine that we worked on to come alongside the rubber keyboard. Wonder, it was a specially commissioned edition to go with that. And then we also decided, obviously, on the current edition of Crash, that the next one would be due out in January. You don't want to be working on it in the Christmas holidays.
Let's get it done out of the way, yeah.
So, as we speak, I'm currently working on that. I've played my games, done the reviews, I've got an interview to do. So, don't get me wrong, I love doing it, and I love playing, like we've done that for the Halloween episode, the modern homebrew Spectrum games. I just love that there's modern stuff coming out. So my time now, albeit as retro, is on newly released games, which is fine. So I'm getting my retro fix, and it's been fine. But it's time consuming playing games to that length. Giving them a real good going to get a review's worth out of them. So yeah, I've been enjoying it, and that's the main thing. So that, in all honesty, has consumed my time, apart from installing a new bathroom suite as well.
Yeah, you do keep yourself busy.
Plumbing is a pain in the arse, right? Under tighten, over tighten. I'm a spanner with a spanner. That's the reality. It's like it's all done. So there's a new bathroom suite in for Christmas. Keeps the wife happy. So yeah, I'm going to just start winding down now, and I'm going to start enjoying playing games.
Nice. Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I watched that documentary, the FPS first-person shooter documentary.
How was it? You were talking about it.
Really good. I mean, it's quite, well, on the face of it, it's quite pricey. It's about £15 digitally, which is a bit. But then you do realise it is like over 4 hours long.
See, I don't have any complaint at that longevity of a movie for that price, right? Because, well, what is that per hour? You know what I mean? It's nothing really. And the trouble is now, what is £15 today in comparison to what was even 3 years ago?
Yeah. I'm definitely, because I want to get the physical version when it comes out, because I'm really impressed with it. I mean, it's got everybody who's everybody in it. You've got John Carmack, John Romero, you've got Warren Spector's in it. Pretty much everybody you can imagine, people behind like Half-Life and all of this. It's just really well done, really well researched. Pretty much everybody who's everybody is interviewed. Obviously, it's US centric, so you're not going to get your whilst you get Maze War, you're not going to get 3D Monster Maze or anything like that. But in some ways, you don't want the early days. You want when it started,
people genuinely call it an FPS,
Yeah. So, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It's very well done.
Good.
Of course, you always want some of the obscurer ones down the line mentioned, but...
That's
all the big ones. Yeah, all the big ones are there.
It's always going to be I suppose in inverted commas, a commercial production, isn't it? So you're not going to hear the things about what you want to, deep cuts in that way, and you want to delve deep into really obscure.
Well, they just couldn't do it. I mean, they did it over 4 hours.
Exactly. And
I'm asking for more.
But you would be happy if that was something episodic on Netflix, right? FPS, the series, and a 13 series run, and you bring it on to season 2, you'd watch that. That's the kind of TV you want to.
Exactly. These guys, I don't know who's actually behind it, but clearly it's a professional production. This is where they've spent some serious money.
So it's quite slick. That's what you're saying.
All slick. brought everybody in, everybody's interviewed. Yeah, just very nicely done. So huge recommend to me.
What I find with, and it's no fault of their own, right? Budgets are limited, so they record these kind of documentaries, and we've seen many from Bedrooms to Billions to, tons of things. Indie Game the Movie, which I absolutely adore. But sometimes you can get different sound levels, or one interview's a lot more echoey than the other, and it kind of breaks the continuity. You've just got to spend the money.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for. Let's be honest about it. So you've got this high quality 4-hour geek-gasm, so to speak, on FPSs. I mean, that's fantastic.
No, I've been having a real blast with that. And
did you, from it, learn a lot of new things that you didn't already know from your extensive research over the years, and you're fan of the genre?
I suppose nothing really jumps out at me as like particularly new, but.
That doesn't matter.
I have read a lot of books over the years.
Exactly.
I guess what's nice is you do get the context. You do get from the people themselves telling the story.
Yeah, there's a sort of air of sincerity, isn't there? Yeah.
So. Huge recommend for me.
Oh, cool.
I mean, and the other thing I did the letter V of my best game of the letter arcade edition. Finally chewing through it. I must admit, I'm keen to get to the end now. It's just finding the time, but it's been a fun series to do.
Oh, it's a good endurance series. I think I'm glad you stuck with it. I think you want to see it to completion now, and they're my favourites by far of all your kind of releases. This has been the most exciting one, but it's personal taste, I suppose. It's an era I grew up in, and that's therefore I want to see what your recommendations are.
Yeah. And talking recommendations, I might I did put on the Discord chat earlier, like my first 10 suggestions, but I was thinking maybe doing. Because I'm having a blast playing through on Antstream on the Xbox, because there's some beautiful, really obscure games, and it's just nice knowing that unlike a lot of these obscure games, people can legally track these games down and play them, So but I've been having a blast going through playing them all. And I think I probably will, once I get the A to Z out of the way, I'll probably do a video series where in blocks of 10, going alphabetically, in general, just going across alphabetically, what are the first 10 games that jumped out to me personally.
Oh, that's cool.
Because there's some amazing ones. Have you ever heard of B52? I've never heard of it.
No.
I mean, it came out on different platforms like C64 and that, but on the NES, and it's really cute. It's kind of like Potty Pigeon. You gotta fly into the flowers to get the honey, take it back to your hive. Really, really cute, and that's what I love. They're just so many obscure little gems.
Checking that just now.
Yeah.
Oh, Codemasters. What it remembers me of is the Birds and the Bees.
Yes, yeah. Actually, you're right. That's
exactly what this is like. Wow.
Yeah. So
fantastic.
It's what's special with it, and I can categorically say the Xbox version of Antstream's rock solid. I mean, I've not really had any problems with it.
Yeah.
Unlike the PC one, which is a shame because I think a lot of people got burned off with that. But yeah, that's what I've been up to retro-wise. Any more you want to shout retro-wise, or?
Oh no, I'm born, so you've led a more exciting retro life than me the last month. So well done you.
You have to be shit at DIY like me, and then you won't get.
Yeah, never show competence. Never show competence.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. So we'll go on to the main show itself then.
Yes, please.
Yes. So what we thought we'd do is we thought we would look at 6 great platformers, particularly 2D or 2.5D platformers on the PlayStation 1. Because I think it's an interesting time. This was when majority of people were pushing for 3D in everything, particularly Sony at the time. But there were some real absolute corkers of 2D platform games that came out in the era. And, I think we got a real good 6 here. I mean, we've left Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the table because it's just been done to death, isn't it? Everybody knows it. Everybody knows what a good game it is. But I think the 6 that we've chosen is a really nice lineup. And I want to give a little bit of props to what sort of kickstarted the idea of this. I was actually watching, YouTuber Metal Jesus Rocks.
Yeah.
Big
fan follow him regularly.
Yeah, big fan of him. But anyway, he went to Tokyo, and on the first game we're about to cover, he did a pickup, and I've got to say it was new to me. I think in the vast vestiges of distant memories, I remember the game, but never played it. So that got me excited to try this, and then we sort of built this episode around it.
As you do, mate. As you do.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess before we go into the actual games themselves, I mean, what's your sort of general memories of this period of 2D platformers in the later era?
Well, it's a kind of crossover. So for me, I was devastated when my Amiga died, and that was it. It was like my Amiga's dead, and it was like a loss of a limb. So I had to, I just couldn't afford another one. It was at the end of its life anyway, so you're like, well, will I? There's other things, PlayStation's on the... I mean, I've never been complete day one early adopter of these things anyway, I always like to see the success of them. But anyway, I got a second-hand SNES anyway, because I was so familiar with its games from friends and whatnot. And the catalogue of great platforming games that I had on that, towards especially the latter days, obviously, Yoshi's Island and the Donkey Kong Country series. And so you had absolutely fantastic 2D platforming games that just took the genre to the next level. And honestly, I milked these games. These were titles that 100%ed because they were just so addictive. And
Yoshi Island was so special.
Yeah, especially that. That was just, I don't know how many hours I pumped into that. It was incredible. So anyway, here comes the PlayStation. I go into that and you go, ooh, it was revolutionary, Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot, you name it, these things are out. But the world, like you said there, is all going towards 3D. And I mean, you had Pandemonium, which is a 2.5D game, but not covered here because we've covered that previously.
Klonoa.
Yeah, Klonoa as well. I'm sure that's a sexually transmitted disease, is it not, personally? But predominantly, apart from these obvious ones, the world had went 3D, and my thirst for the 2D or 2.5D, as you said, to give illusion of a bit depth, if you want, 3D looks in a 2D plane. There wasn't enough of them for me, because I think the creators and the producers and the world itself, I think even the buyers, many of the players, they were tired of that genre. So it kind of got put in a back shelf a little bit. There was always games released, but not to the quantity. For every one of them, there was a dozen 3D games, which were fantastic, don't get me wrong. I mean, PlayStation 1 is a considerably cool console with excellent games, but I just longed and missed the 2D platforming game, because it was the genre that made me love video games in the first place, and still never tired of it to this day yet.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I'm similar for me. I mean, obviously, every time one did come along, like on the Saturn, you had like Clockwork Knight and and I guess Bug, although that was doing more 3D. But it was just there wasn't. You sort of lamented. I mean, you'd be able to pick up. It was quite an exciting time, I guess, in that that was when you were starting to get retro packs that were arcade perfect. Like say getting like the Bubble Rainbow Island double pack was awesome.
What a pack that was! It was incredible.
But I mean, for me in particular, on the PlayStation, it was mentioned before, I had very much a limited exposure really, because I didn't own one back in the day. It was my flatmates at the time. I had the Saturn, he had the PlayStation 1, and he wasn't into these sort of games, so I tended to get a lot of the big hitters, be able to play like your Wipeouts and things like that, but a lot of them I didn't know about. And then even more so, I guess, until emulation got good enough, it was really difficult to sort of dive in and explore this library without putting up a lot of money. I'd always pick up games in retro game shops which took my interest and thought I'll give it a go. But obviously you're not going to get a lot of these, unfortunately, are quite expensive that we're going to cover. Some are quite cheap, which is good to see, but quite a few are very expensive because they didn't sell that well, because the world had at that time was obsessed with 3D.
They had no taste.
Well, it was a new exciting frontier, wasn't it? And I think a lot of people were like, oh, we grew up on... I mean, you keep seeing that in reviews, don't you, back in the day, is like, I don't see what this is giving for the 32-bit. Their complaint was basically, this is just like a 16-bit game. And it's like, for me, that's great. And I think to most people, that's great. And
for me, that's fine.
Yeah. But at the time, people were hankering for something new. It was all about the new. Okay, but should we go on to the games themselves? We start our list.
Do tell what we're going on to first.
Oh, right. Okay, so this was the one that's basically started us down the rabbit hole in the first place, thanks to Metal Jesus. And it came out in 1999 by the New Corporation, and it is Chipoke Ralph no Daiboken, or better known in the West, although it's a Japanese only game, I think, The Adventures of Little Ralph.
Stop speaking about your penis, for goodness sake, Paul.
Commander Ralph to you. So what is this? This is a 1999 2D platform. Beautiful artwork. I mean, it really is amazing.
Yeah.
You start off as this little boy, Ralph. Well, no, you start off as a man, warrior, and then he basically gets magicked into a little boy by the evil wizard.
Butt naked,
little tushy. I've written on my notes, little tushy. Little tushy on show right at the beginning. And yeah, the idea is you just go through several unique levels, going against enemies. It's all the usual fare, but what it does is it just does so well, really, doesn't it? It's beautifully graphically, orally. It is an absolute pleasure to play, and and I'm so glad to have discovered it. I really am. I mean, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, was this new to you or
not new to me? Obviously, I didn't play it back in the day, but through emulation over the years, and delightfully when emulation gets better, it was. I mean, I always knew it from lists of this is a must-get game, you know, and very prohibitive prices. You know, it's not something.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I mean, I did look. It's like the cheapest I could find on eBay was £380.
Yeah.
I'm never going to pay that on again.
No. Considering how well it runs under emulation anyway. But anyway, by the by, if you have this, well done you, because you have chosen an absolute incredible 2D platformer. The animations, as you said, from the backdrops to the foregrounds to all the bodies to the way Ralph runs, and the different designs, very varied designs between the different levels, to be honest, makes it all the better. You know, it doesn't feel monotonous in all its locations, where you're in the sort of village and the first level to the sort of sewers and undergrounds, the waterworks, you know, underneath it. It just is so incredibly detailed. You may argue, to be honest, that, like you said earlier there, that I'm still getting a 16-bit game. You're talking, if someone pulled this off on a 16-bit console, some of the latter years ones were to this kind of caliber, but you'd be pushing it. This is still 32-bit pretending to look like a 16-bit game. I mean, there's lots of things going on that there's just not the memory or
such
the processing
vibrant
power.
colours and what it's throwing around, some of the techniques and that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tight platforming hack and slash game, and I just absolutely adore it. Lots of things to collect, good fun hitting the bodies. You know, it's very tight in that way. There's some pseudo 3D elements to it, not much. It's pretty much in a 2D plane, but if there's things that fall into the foreground and that's good. You know what I mean? It just gives it a little bit modern touch to it, but at its heart, it is absolutely from the era it's pretending or emulating or simulating, whatever you want, that it comes from.
It is a continuation of that era, isn't it?
It is, and that's fine for me, because why should something just die out? You know what I mean? Just because, we've got 3D now, nobody will want 2D anymore. That's so wrong, because look at the indie game scene now, right? There's a thirst for excellent 2D games. I mean, look at one of the most highest quality spritemanship, if you want to call it that, in modern game existence, is Owlboy. I don't know if you've ever played that.
Oh, yeah.
That is superb, and I bet it's not about that. I'm just on about there's a love and a need for one. It's got sprites. I love sprites, right? As much as I'm playing the new Mario Wonder game and it's not got sprites in it, and it's excellent. My heart harks back to games of this aesthetic, and the details, from the crumbling bridges on the first level, just the way they fall down, to the pouring waters of the sewer levels, the desert levels further on. I mean, it gets you think it's quite easy to start off with.
Oh no, it gets quite tough.
Yeah, oh yes. I mean, there's a brilliant minecart level,
Oh yeah, I know it. Yeah,
and you have to leap between all the different minecarts. This makes the sort of Indiana Jones one or the one on Spin Master seem lightweight. You know what I mean? In comparison,
there was a lot of save states used on that part of it. Yeah.
Yes,
and thank God for save states, I tell you.
But yeah. I mean, I think this game's flawless personally.
Yeah, I fell in love with this game. It's got really good end level bosses as well. You've got that mad scientist with those like the big balls. Drop, dropping balls. And the Pharaoh was really good. Oh, and that there's that bat girl, isn't it, with the bat wings?
Yeah.
And each of them. I mean, some of them you can, once you work out how to defeat them, it's quite easy really. But it's it's nice discovering and how to play them, and you got that little sidekick that you can pick up. The power-ups are really good, isn't it? You get like bigger swords, and you can get swords you can eventually like shoot at the enemies, and you get like a little sidekick, little sort of furry dude that will spit bombs as well. I think you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned about it feeling in some way a bit like an arcade game done up to factor 11, isn't it? I mean, it's far more beautiful than an Amiga game, but there's just something about that love and care of the hand-drawn artwork that just really, really impresses. And just every level's different. I mean, and jaw-dropping. I mean,
that's the point, yeah.
I kept wanting to go on just to see what else it was going to show me.
Well, it encourages progression just for that, because it just looks so different, and it does challenge you in different ways. Yeah, there's ropes, ladders, platforms, of course there is. And some people may argue it's a limited genre, but isn't every genre? in some ways, you know what I mean? We are limited until people do out there games that are very different. I do. I mean, you said the Pharaoh level and all the details of the crumbling statues and flames, but I love that semi 3D or 2.5D element of, say, not the Iron Maiden, if you want to call them Iron Maiden things, the spiked caskets that come out from the background into the foreground. Then you've got all the lovely hieroglyphic art, all the spears on the ground, moving platforms in different directions, try to suss what route they're going to take. It's just addictive as hell. If you love a good platforming game where what I like about it's not just about jumping, I think because it's quite a tactile hack and slash game as well, it's got the same kind of sword arc as, say, Strider or whatnot. It's quite a physical game as well, so you feel quite satisfied that you're killing the bad guys. It's not just about bouncing on their head, which becomes a bit of a platforming trope, isn't it? It's a hack and slash platforming game with boss fights, with fantastic locations, and it's in English in that way. There's Japanese subtitles, but everything's named in English and that, so you're not lost in the game. There's no real storyline that you're missing the context for. You get the gist of it. So you get to the bad guy, he speaks to you in the Japanese language, and he's really just saying, me big guy, me beat you. He goes, no, me wee Ralph, me beat you. So
yeah, that's about as deep as it gets, isn't it? Yeah. And I find it amazing. Yeah, sorry, carry on. Yeah.
No, that's it.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I find it amazing that New Corporation, they're not a well-known company. I mean, the people that worked on this in New Corporation, they're probably most famous for Victorious Boxers, which is a really obscure boxing game, or Boxers Road as well. But that's it really. And I'm looking through their back catalogue of what the company did, and you had like Captain Commando, they did the SNES port, Princess Maker, which is a really obscure sort of Japanese game that nobody would have heard of. But that's it really. They've just not, their latest game that they ever worked on, and it's just New Corporation, different people, was a DS game called Matchstick, which I do remember actually, but it's it's a so-so platform puzzle game. Right. But it's I find it amazing that these guys, these talented individuals, created such an amazing platform game, and then disappeared pretty much off the gaming earth.
And had a limited release that we didn't see, even a US release, we didn't get a European release.
No.
It was just exclusive to Japan, and that shows the fear and the trepidation of releasing these in a market that sometimes I think, yeah, it's because people in our country are a bunch of sheep. They just want the next best thing, and they're so shallow sometimes it annoys me, you know. It's like, these games are so freaking great that why wouldn't you not want to continue playing these just because it's defined dated, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, though, I mean, a lot of it was, I mean, to be fair to, like, your ordinary people and that, a lot of it was the gatekeepers that were at Sony, you know, at Sega, saying no to these games, full stop. So, because there was that belief, I mean, Sony actively, they really did not want 2D games on their machine because they felt it wasn't showing off what the PlayStation was compatible. I mean, sadly, even the Sega Saturn, Sega. I mean, Sega, the Saturn was perfect, absolutely perfect for 2D platforms.
Absolutely,
and yet there isn't many to talk about because they were, as you say, the belief was that people wouldn't buy it. It was never really tested out on people, and I suppose when it was, they were quite big hits. Like Symphony of the Night was a big hit, and. And like Clockwork Knight was a big hit in the Sega world. You
got your cotton games that are in 2D. That not platformers, but you know what I mean.
Parodius, all of those things. So I mean, there were plenty of, but it was just that belief at the time that they just weren't going to get the support, and so a lot of games like Little Ralph here probably fell by that wayside because just nobody was going to take the risk to pick it up. Yeah. I'm with you. I think it would have been a huge, not a huge hit, but it would have been a well loved and sold reasonably, I think. On its release.
See, I would have been a more sucker for a console that was released that was a 2D powerhouse, right? Yeah. Something with, at the time, inverted commas, unlimited memory and great, graphic handling of 2D sprites and. I would never have needed to evolve to 3D, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, obviously 3D does bring its own.
Of course it does. I'm not bringing it down.
But this is why I'm so pleased that we live in today's world where there's such an abundance, as you mentioned, because of indie, because you haven't got those gatekeepers anymore.
Yeah.
That people are producing what they think people will like, and 2D's been proven again and again to have more staying power, really.
Well, look at games like Ori and things like that, right? Huge games, or Limbo, or Inside, or I mean, it's just sensational that, or even 3D games. There's a popularity of sort of retro looking 3D games as well. If you even go to itch.io, and the amount of indie games that are capturing the PlayStation 1 3D aesthetic with limited draw distances and that, I think that's incredible that there's nostalgia for everyone. For some people, the 3D-ness of the PlayStation will be their first experience of gaming. Of course it will be. We can't be gatekeepers, like you said, to gaming in that way. We grew up in a very specific period, as do people that were young enough that only experienced the N64 or the SNES, or even now, some people grew up, Minecraft was a thing, so people will make things to appeal to that generation of, game buyers.
But you do have, I mean, I've seen, like, young kids that didn't sort of grow up in the era like we did, but you only have to look at sales of things like Shovel Knight and things like that. I mean, there's Axiom Verge. There's been so many wonderful 2D games that have come out, and it's nice to see that they do get a big market, and it's a big enough market that it's not just us old guys.
I'm a sucker for them, and the minute they appear, you had the first Ukulele, which was obviously more
3D,
the 3D, but the sequel was more Donkey Kong Country 2D. It was like, yes, this is amazing.
Exactly.
I'm just a sucker for that. The minute I see that, it's like, that has my interest. It's just because it's something I prefer.
No, I'm the same way. I must admit, I keep umming and ahhing that I want to play that Tiny Thor because it's got I'm a sucker with Henk, who's the artist on that, and he will feature in this very show. I think he's one of the great artists, and so any game that he gets involved with is always on my back catalogue. I mean, recent ones would be like Xenocrisis. He did the artwork for. Battle Axe, he did the artwork for. Just a really, really cool. And of course, we remember him from the days of Pugsy and things like that.
Quality.
And Lionheart on the Amiga. So great artist. Anyway, any more you want to say on this wonderful?
No, I think we've convinced our listeners that they must play this game.
Yeah.
Take the hint. If there's going to be any games, play them all.
Yeah.
Play them all actually. But this one is pretty special.
Yeah. I mean, every single one on tonight, I would give a huge recommend. There's two that I would probably put at the top of that list, and this would be one of them.
I'll be interested to see what your next one is.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we go on to the next game then.
Mm-hmm.
So probably of our list, this is probably one of the better known ones, and it is, of course, Rayman. This came out in 1995 by Ubisoft, and of course done by Michel Ancel, who also did famous games like Beyond Good and Evil, Tonic Trouble, but he's probably best known for his Rayman games.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I personally can remember of where it felt like you were watching a cartoon, like a true. Well, no, I mean there were early examples. I guess like Castle of Illusion, probably the first time I felt it. But this truly felt hand drawn, beautiful artwork. I'm such a fan of the Rayman series. In fact, Rayman Legends, which is the last.
Oh man.
My favourite game, my favourite platform game. Actually, I just adore that. I just never.
That's sensational, isn't it? It's absolutely fantastic. Rayman Legends.
Yeah, but going back to this, because I'll be honest, I hadn't really played the first Rayman game since back in the day. In 1995.
I'm the same, by the way. I was actually going, I'm dreading this. I think this is going to be dated.
Well, this was it, because in my mind, and I don't know why I had this in my mind, my memories of it was style over substance for some reason, and I completely unfounded. Going back to it, it is an amazing game. I don't know why I was so sniffy with it, but that is part of the reason why.
That is really coincidental on your views on this, because I bought it. On recommendation back in the day, right? And I think I was a bit of a snob towards it, to be honest, right? Maybe the 3D Powerhouse did piss me off a bit. No, piss me off a bit. Brainwash me a bit, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't think, memory-wise, I mean, I played it, I don't think I played it through to completion, but I played a massive, massive chunk of it until I moved on to something else. And I just thought, my memories were it's kind of got that Earthworm Jim kind of not quite 100% perfect level design appeal, and although looking good, I'm not going to get addicted to this. Was I wrong? Was I bloody wrong? I got bloody hooked playing it. One, it is not dated graphically.
No, it's beautiful.
I love the whole limbless look of the Rayman world, that nobody has limbs. They've just got floating hands, floating heads, there's nothing joins or appendages to their body, and there's so much going on in the game and nuances to the animation frames and graphics that I did not pick up back in that day.
I know, and there's just so many cute things, isn't it? Like you get the big fruit, which you can like push and pull around and everything as you'd expect. But you can also use it like time your punch, so it'll land on one of the like the Grinch style park.
Grinch style, aren't they?
Yeah. Lands on their head, and that allows you to then jump on their head without killing them, so you can get like hidden bonuses and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just got that very, I don't know, just great characterizations. I mean, it's nice. It was nice going back to it because, of course, you made me realize how much the more modern games like Rayman Origins and Legends, gameplay wise, took from the first game. I mean, they've kept true to it. It was lovely seeing all these characters that you love on some of the later ones appear here.
If you think now looking at this, right, and there's so much going on that in terms of graphical detail, that remember we lost our shit over how amazing Cuphead was.
Yeah.
Right, and it took that, homage to the 1930s cartoons. It was incredible. This has got that, the very similar vibe to it, like when you watch any sort of early period cartoon, the early 1900s cartoons, right? It's got that vibe to it. I can't get over how much what's the word I'm looking for? I was quite indifferent towards the game, to be honest.
I was as well, and I can't, going back to it, understand what... I want to have words with my little younger self. Why I was so... It wasn't like I hated it. I was just like, it's all right, it's okay. And then... And then... I don't think I even really particularly bothered with the second one in particular. I remember playing the third one.
I bought it because I got it cheap, so I still have it. But
I own it. I just I never really sort of went.
Yeah, I never gave it the time of day.
And then the third one I played quite a bit of, but that's obviously a different affair. That's 3D, and that was like there were better 3D platforms. It was good, but it wasn't like your Mario 64 or anything.
Yeah, it didn't gel me with that one because here they go. I'd rather, and I'm glad they stuck in the later iterations of it back to the 2D. I mean, I'm actually now, because of playing this, I'm wanting to play this through to completion and milk it now, right? So I've now got a game I know I need to play, and now I want to then after that go through Origins and Legends as well, because I got so much fun from those that I can't describe how incredible these are for modern platformers, but this has those elements in this bloody game here. It's incredible. And I'm annoyed at myself now that I don't have, even though I have nostalgia for it, not the level of nostalgia it deserves to have.
Well, hopefully, I mean, I imagine there'll be, if both of us arrived at that same conclusion back in the day, then I do wonder how many of our listeners will be in the same boat that will have passed them by because of when it came out. Yeah, but no, really, really good. And of course, the great thing with Rayman games, because it sold quite well and it's not as sought after. I mean, I looked on eBay, you can pick it up complete in the box, £7. So it's, I mean, fantastic deal. I mean, really, really good. And as you say, it looks amazing on emulation as well.
It does. I mean, there's one thing about, I suppose, 2D games under emulation, because you can't upscale it in the same way as you can with polygons. That it can be a bit more blockier, but it still still
looks beautiful to me. I mean, when I looked on my HD TV, I was like, oh my word, this is truly special.
Absolutely. And I mean, every level has got it's been lovingly crafted that I've disregarded this game, and I apologise for actually doing so. I've got lost in myself and thought that the other games, I mean, obviously the modern ones are better, obviously, but this, you've got to appreciate them. You've got to go back and play this now.
I've definitely, I'm thinking, I mean, I've almost finished this for the show. I think I'm pretty far through, and I'm definitely probably do the same. I'll play my way through this, play the second one, because that's completely I don't think I've ever properly played the second one, and then work my way through all the Rayman games. I think it's a wonderful character, and I've always been a fan of the French zaniness. There's something wonderful, isn't there, about French
it's got
games.
It's got its own,
it's beating to its own drum. Yeah,
good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, no, I've always appreciated that. Any more you want to say about that wonderful game?
No, I think we've convinced our listeners that this is another one they need to play.
And I suppose the last thing I'll just mention, I mean, looking back in the day at reviews, very positive actually. IGN gave it 7 out of 10, and GamePro gave it 4.5 out of 5. I couldn't find any UK ones, but I mean, obviously there will be, but I couldn't in time for the show.
Okay.
But at least it was fondly loved back in the days.
Yeah.
Now, talking of fondly loved, should we go on to our third game?
Yes, please.
Okay, I adore this. This was completely new to me. I knew of it, but I never actually sat down and played it. And it came out in 1998 by EA, and it's developed by the Neverhood. It is, of course, Skull Monkeys. Now, basically, Neverhood, there's a whole series of games, and they all use stop-go animation, like plasticine.
Claymation.
Claymation, that's the way to put it. And it's what you basically got here is you've got it's the same team that made Earthworm Jim games working on this wonderful claymation game where you control the character and work your way through a mad world, sort of like I can't even remember. Even though it got wonderful cutscenes, I can't even remember what the story's about. Really,
it's a bit surreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, well, basically, it continues on from where the Neverhood ended off, right? So the Neverhood, obviously, if you played that, was a point-and-click adventure, a series of puzzles and that, and you ousted the bad guy out of the Neverhood, and so therefore begins in this one on this planet. It was a bad man fell from the sky. I love the voice, the way the voice does it. It's just incredible. The mood is set up in that, and he's like falling down, and he lands on a planet of the apes, so to speak, the skull monkeys. And he finds a skull, puts it over his head, and he becomes, because they're quite stupid, their leader. So it's a bit like modern day politics. And the main hero must prevent him from taking over this domain, and there's the premise for the platform adventure. But the whole cutscene, now, to put into perspective, especially in the early years of the PlayStation, they become obsessed with FMV videos, didn't they? And I think we got a bit exhausted with it. Okay, we get that. They're quite high-res FMV videos, but it isn't really indicative of the in-game graphics.
Yeah.
But with claymation, it's a different kettle of fish, folks, because you're capturing snapshots, frames, time-lapse, whatever you want to call it, of the plasticine models, like Morph or, Wallace and Gromit, whatever you take your influence from. And this is highly comical, absolutely brilliant, great fun watching, even from the main hero sitting there eating a sandwich with his friend, sitting on a rock before he gets picked up. He gets a whole space suit gets blasted onto him, and the wings just takes him into space because he is needed to save the day. To be honest, it very much has that kind of Wallace and Gromit feel to it in some ways, if you know what I mean.
It does.
It's quirky and all the rest. And I just love it's a cutscene that you actually enjoy watching. That's the point I'm trying to make.
I love the cutscene because it also introduces you as you go on some extra power ups that you can get. And one of the I think it's the second cutscene that you see. You basically have this like super fart. So he's like, in the cutscene, he's like seeing this beans. So he's like eating the beans, and then you see a monster come along, and he's like runs away but farts, leaving a green mist, and then you watch it the enemy like face melt basically.
Exactly.
And what's even better, that is a power up in the game where basically you when you have these sort of like power ups, you can actually like set off like a green mist of the character to go off and clear out the enemies with your fart, basically.
Paul, now anyone that went to Arcade Club and had the Diablo pizza earned that power up as well.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. The Diablo pizza up there. But I just love. I mean, this actually. I mean, spoiler alert. This is the one that I loved the most of the night, and I love them all.
Is it right? Okay.
But this one I really gelled with. It's good platforming. There's loads of secrets. There's some really cool power-ups you can do, like the homing bird and things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just the humour. I mean, it's just really, really gelled with it. And again, it was one of those that I really wanted to see what was going to happen next in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just couldn't put it down. It was completely. I'd heard of this one, but I've not.
Oh, see, I own this. right? Between that and another one that came out about the same time, I'll mention as one of the honourable mentions.
Yeah.
That I mean, I just remember reading it in the official PlayStation magazine, following its progress from previews. I can't remember if there was a demo on a cover disc.
There was, although the reason I know that is because I was like again looking at the cost of the cost of things, and you I mean, this one goes to about
on a
50
fortune.
quid. Well, no, it's about 50 quid, but the
Right, okay.
but you get cheaper ones. I was there's cheaper, and then realizing in small print it's a trial version that was on the But yeah, I mean, what's your memories with this, then?
Yeah, I mean, this was a Thursday night game with my mates.
Yeah.
We done it for a good number of years. You know, beers on a Thursday night, pizzas ordered, and playing games. It must have been about a good 3 years of doing this on at the peak of the PlayStation cycle. That was just something to look forward to, and this was one of these games we played for a great number of weeks, and we left it to continue playing as a group of guys. I'll get maybe 3 or 4 of us that all went down to my mate's house, and just such enjoyable fun playing it. It was always the same. You played it. It was the quotable fit. Everybody would say for years, "A madman fell from the sky," things. But now the magazines didn't review it too favourably. Okay, they thought that the level designs were bland. I disagree, to be honest. I think there's more secrets than they gave care to explore for. It's quite a tough game, and it's a leap back to what I said earlier on. This is definitely a leap on the head of the bad guy games. There's lots of different types of monkeys and that, and it requires accurate leaping and that. But I just loved it. I loved the dark graphics, the same vibe. From Shiny's
FM Gym.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the same team, isn't it, basically?
Yep.
Yeah.
And even MDK, right? It's got that darkness of that. There's something unique. There's something. It's a signature again. It has some different look. They've tried to do something different, and I personally think they succeeded. The claymation animations, although perhaps a dated thing now, I don't know. Maybe if it comes back now with more.
I think I'm surprised. I mean, playing it, I'm surprised there's not like indie developers that have tried to do it to make them stand out. In the same way, like Cuphead did it.
Yeah, it's time consuming, but I think now with high fidelity graphics and high resolutions, it will look exactly like the claymation things now. I mean, they're a bit fuzzy playing it now in comparison, but it's still fantastic. I mean, it's not that much a different technique than they did when Donkey Kong Country in terms of, the graphical enhancement that they did to capture the animations and that. I mean, obviously they didn't use plasticine, if you want to call it, or clay or whatever. You know what I mean? It's, digitized graphic animation frames, and I think it looks wonderful. But good graphics do not make a game.
No.
The point is, do you enjoy playing the game and the world that it delivers? And I think that is the key to any platforming game. Is it a great exploratory world? Does it bring surprises to you? Are you entertained all the way through? And I played this and reconnected. I have not played this since back in the day. It's lying there gathering dust on my shelf, and it's to me it's exactly how I remember it. It's not dated for me in that way. Some people may think it has because it's an old technique, but no, I'm impressed, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
And special note needs to go to the music.
Oh yes,
done by Terry Scott Taylor, and I just, to be honest, I mean, all the music's fantastic throughout, but when you get to the bonus level, you've got a special bonus level song which is just hilarious. I'll put a little clip of it in now.
Here's a little bonus room, 'cause I know you've had it tough, and here's a little bonus tune about collecting real cool stuff. Yes, here's a little bonus room where you can play. Don't be frightened, don't run away. You can linger, 'cause I'm your video friend. Think of me as a father figure with a hand to lend. Here's a little bonus room where you don't have to worry. Take your sweet time, you need not hurry. Oh, you're looking incredible, you're the bomb. And me, I'm kinda like your dad, and a little like your mom. There are no monsters here, hey wait, look over there. I was just kidding, don't be scared. And when you turn this game off in the real world once again, you won't have to play make-believe or try to pretend. 'Cause I'll be right there when you open your hand. 'Cause I'm your little invisible musical friend. So show me to your pets or show me to your pals. You really will impress every nifty guy and gal. Show them you're individual. Show them you are bold. Besides, I get residuals for every game that's sold. I'm your little invisible musical friend for life. I'll never leave you.
So yeah, so as you can see, it's just hilarious. I mean, I particularly love, you know, with it sort of like all careful, like plinky plinky, and then suddenly it will go. But wait, there's you're saying you're totally safe. It's a bonus level, and there's monsters over there, and it does like screeching. Well, I'm only kidding. Don't worry.
I think you're right. You know, when some of the CDs, because we all had CD audio on the PlayStation now, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes I felt that the fidelity of that was higher quality than the game. That it kind of was off-putting. I think the balance here is perfect, right? From the screeches of the monkeys, which is quite jarring, you know, to all the wonderful musics and tunes. I think they nailed it better than, even though it's high fidelity, it isn't CD audio overkill, because I think visually and audibly it complements each other incredibly.
And it's lovely to see as well that, because of this, of course, this is it's done by primarily the like a team of artists, but the one name that stuck out with me was of course Stephen Crow. He's of course, like, you know, pretty much a Spectrum. Man, C64, but
a Spectrum god.
Spectrum god. I mean, but yeah, no, he's worked on like a whole host of. What you got? Eliminator, Starquake is probably a good.
Wizard's Lair.
Yeah,
I mean,
real
incredible
real
author.
cool.
Yeah,
awesome. So it's great. I always love seeing that when you see like people go on to what they went on to next and things, and that they made it across the different systems. And of course, you know, a lot of these people, I mean, obviously Stephen Crow was involved with Earthworm Jim and others that worked on this, Alice Goodson and things like that.
That's good.
But yeah, basically a lot of the team that made the Earthworm Jim games went across, which, you know, playing it, you can sort of see it, can't you?
Yeah, there's a
There's
vibe
a lot of
to
similarity
it. Yeah,
in that vibe, and
I think they took drugs personally, but that's just me.
well, yeah, you only have to play the 1970 bonus level. That's the other thing. The other bonus level, you can pick up these 1970 icons, isn't it? And then you can enter like the bonus level, and it's all like groovy, man. Sort of like, and it's like just all 70 sort of background. But there's one bonus level in particular I came across, which was all like it's doing the trailing, you know, the drug trail. So like everything is warping, and you know, as they depict it, like people taking drugs, it's like that. Yeah, really, really cool. I adored this game. This was probably my favourite.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm really glad.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's just something I suppose I more fondly remember it because it's unique art style. But going back to it, it was like, right, this it took me back. It was hugely nostalgic. I was back there on a Thursday night with my mate. I was thinking about my mates. You know, I don't see them as often now. What they're doing, and just when I just had less responsibilities at that time, and that, you know, it's a big part of life. And that game's, you know,
Yeah, it's special.
part
isn't
of
it?
that. Yeah, special, very special. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with this one. It's definitely
Excellent.
a great one, and it's got me wanting to play because I have picked up the other ones like the Amitrax, whatever it is, and
Yeah.
like on GOG and things. They're more sort of adventure games, which I've
Yeah,
always thought they're cute.
This
but
is a sweet spot.
yeah, for me, this is I always felt with some of the others it was a little bit style over substance.
Yeah.
They weren't particularly good of adventure games. It was just the art style and the humour that won you through on the others.
Absolutely.
Whether this is a really good platform game that happens to have amazing humour and
the
gameplay.
perfect balance.
Definitely.
Cool.
Right, okay, so we go on to our fourth game.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this is another one that I'd actually played on the SNES and Mega Drive, but I've never played it on the PlayStation 1. It's got a different name. I knew it as Mickey Mania, as it was on the 16-bits, but in the 32-bit era, it was known as Mickey's Wild Adventure. And it came out in 1996. It was published by Sony, and it was done by Traveller's Tales, who, of course, better known today as the Lego guys that do all the Lego video games.
Yeah.
This was a pure delight. I mean, I have played it back in the day, but going back to it, and particularly seeing it on the PS1, where everything's just that little bit crisper, it really feels like a cartoon that's come to life. And it's a lovely idea with this, isn't it? Basically, you play Mickey Mouse, but you go through his history. So it starts with the level of Steamboat Willie, which is Mickey Mouse's first time he really got his own cartoon. And then it goes through, I forget all the ones. It's like the horror one, isn't it? Prince and the Pauper, the
Mad Doctor, Moose Hunters, Prince and the Pauper's a good one. Mickey and the Beanstalk, of course.
Yeah, Mickey and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's that alone, that concept, and I know they sort of did that concept on those other great games on the Xbox 360 era, and that wasn't it. They did those Mickey games, but that was 3D. But this is truly a lovely idea, isn't it? How it depicts it all, and quite imaginative. I had a lot of love playing my way through this. I mean, what was your take of this game?
Yeah, well, first of all, my first exposure to this was on the Mega CD. My good mate Rab had it, and I thought it was fantastic playing on it. I just thought it looked brilliant, and I thought this is absolutely adorable. My genre, so therefore I wanted. He wasn't as keen on it, to be honest. You know, he got it because he was he tried to get as much 100% collection as possible, being him being a massive Sega fan. So there was a time in its place, and then when I saw this came out on the PS1 at the time, I actually bought it off another mate for $5. He didn't like it. I said, well, I'll buy that. I'll take what you want for a $5. Oh, here you go.
Was this on the PlayStation you bought?
On the PlayStation, yeah. Yeah, and how blown away, because I was so familiar with, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the Mega CD version, it's incredible, but how it was, I just thought I was going to get a direct port. It was just like, they've just re-released it on PlayStation, not to realise that they've given it a bit TLC and given it a bit more fidelity, a bit more 3D feel to it, just background textures. You can't even say remastered, they've just reconsidered. That's the best way to put it. And I just love everything about it. The way, the swagger of Mickey, his irrepressible delight at being in the world, if you know what I mean, running around. Everything from being in black and white and Steamboat Willie, and it gradually introduces colour. Then you get into the haunted ones with all the skeletons and jump on their heads. I mean, that's very much, yet again, a leap on the head kind of platform adventure, but it's just designed so...
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Incredible. The level designs are excellent. The it's masterful because it's taken it from the cartoons. Now, I'm not a big Disney fan in terms of their feature-length cartoons, you know, like Snow White or Lady and the Tramp or 101 Dalmatians. I don't really particularly like them, but see their early period, the 30s and 40s animation shorts, I think they're sensational.
Yeah.
I really...
There's something special, isn't it, about that period? And this did actually, you mentioning about Cuphead, this came to mind, isn't it? Because
yes, absolutely.
This is that same sort of, you know, they've got down pat of those, of the design, the character designs of a lot of those 20s, 30s.
Yeah, I mean,
enemies.
Taking aside perhaps a lot of the racial stereotypes that a lot of these early cartoons portray,
yeah,
you cannot take away that incredible... I mean, why in modern cartoons now, and there's some great modern cartoons, I can't take that away, but I'd rather look at things that look like this. I think there's a skill and a craft gone, the way people drew things.
Yeah. I think that's clearly been seen with that new film Wish coming out.
Yes.
Disney, supposed to be a celebration of 100 years of Disney, but
I don't think so.
To me, it just shows you everything that's wrong with modern animation.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I suppose in some ways computers make it a lot easier, but it doesn't mean to say they shouldn't. I mean, how they had to do it painstakingly cell by cell back in the day, wasn't that a craft in its own right? And I just love that games like this capture that thing for you. And there's an essence of your childhood here. Now, these I would say our childhood, these animations predated us by 40 years before we were born, right? But you grew up with them because that's what was aired on TV. And to see and play a game that gives you that vibe is sensational. And I absolutely love this game. It's animated beautifully. Well, Disney weren't going to let they're not going to let their intellectual properties look like crap, are they? So I'm assuming they had a big say in how the game should look and how it should play.
Well, I just think the people doing it, and they've shown it with Lego. They loved the property and they wanted to do it right. Yeah. I mean, and what's cool as well is they've. Same with the Sega CD version as well, which actually I remember now I own the Sega CD version. You saying about it? That's how spoiled we are, aren't we?
I'd never played the SNES version, or it's on the Mega Drive as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I actually didn't know it was even out in them personally. I kid you not. Well, and I went and looked back at it and I was like, ooh.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they were doing what they can, but I mean, it's missing the bonus stages because you've obviously got like. You've got those kind of cool nebulous tower sections where you're sort of rotating down, running up or down the building, depending on the level. And there's also the sort of chasing levels, a bit like your Crash Bandicoot levels, aren't they? Where you're sort of running towards the screen.
Crash Bandicoot levels, yes.
And both are really good. Although I notice actually, I think it looks better because it's without the fogging. It looks a lot better on the Mega CD version. those sections, bizarrely. But I mean, there's just some beautiful... I mean, you just got that extra level of colouring and beauty, obviously, naturally, with the PlayStation version. So it is the pinnacle version to play, in my opinion. And amazingly, I mean, what's great about it, because it sold quite well back in the day and it's not particularly sought after, it's another cheap game. It's only £8 if you want to buy it on the PlayStation.
Buy it now, yeah.
And of course, people might be interested. The people who designed this was John Burton and Andy Ingham. Now, they're best known today for pretty much all your Lego games. So younger listeners or people that perhaps don't have the memories of this, they might be interested to see what these guys did before they went on to do Lego and making a lot of money with it. Of course, they did Pugsy as well, the early one, Pugsy. Do you remember that?
Yeah. But here's the point, right? Albeit they're doing Lego and they've done this, but what they're doing, before even crafting the game, they seem to have this skill and this ability to capture the essence of, the cartoons, right? That what made the cartoons that we viewed and loved and brought into video games, just the same way as they can summarise a Star Wars movie or or Harry Potter or The Hobbit, whatnot, and turn it into a Lego game and capture that, add that tongue-in-cheek humour to it, but add the excitement and summarise an epic movie in such a way that can deliver it to a video game world and then give that enjoyment that, I mean, that's, it's like turning a huge novel into a novella, but getting the key moments and making it perfect. Or, that's a hard thing. That's the point I'm trying to make. That's a skill in its own right, that they can encapsulate that in video game form and portray it and make the gamer feel that there's an extension to the movie or cartoon that they have played.
Yeah, this is basically a complete love letter, isn't it? You can see the love and care that went into it. Is it the most perfect platformer? No, it's got a lot of frustrating bits. It is, whether it's the flying bones everywhere that are just cheap damage, or sometimes scratching your head a little bit, what the hell am I supposed to do? But you can sort of look past all of that, where it's just beautiful and solid game, really. I mean, I it's another one that I have got very far, and I'm planning to finish it off.
Cool.
And of course the other game I forgot to mention these guys were involved with was Leander, which is on the Amiga game I love as well. So it's always lovely to see what these guys do, and certainly as they've proven with their Lego games, these guys are pretty special, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, there's a brilliant YouTube video as a side-by-side comparison with the Sega Mega CD versus the PlayStation split screen.
Share it, we'll put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a good one to see, and it's enjoyable because it's a long play, so it's not just a 5-minute comparison, it's the whole game, which is well worth. I see people that do these comparison ones and try to make it be at the same place at the same time. Good for them making these videos. Incredible to watch. I
had a lot of fun. So I had Charlie come over the other day, early in the week on Tuesday, and he's always interested to see what games we're going to cover. So I put them all on. Skull Monkeys was his favourite as well.
Was it?
Yeah.
Good for you, Charlie.
But we were just like ribbing, particularly me ribbing him, but also ribbing, because he was half asleep as he was playing it. He was not on a good gaming day, and just watching him like try to get his head round the Mickey game, the Wild Adventure of Mickey, it was just hilarious. It's not complex. But yeah, it was. It's one of the things I love actually. Like, I miss the days you're saying like with your mates come over back in the day. You can't beat that. Just even with single player games. Often actually, my memories are less on 2-player games, but more, as you say, just like people taking it into turns.
You had a life each or something, yeah.
Or just give a go for a stint.
You want to turn now, and encourage you. So
although Charlie is really bad at giving back the controller. We've had words.
Shame on you, Charlie.
He's like, one more go.
I noticed that at Arcade Club, he couldn't get back on. He was so determined to beat my score in Bubble Bubble, which he didn't beat. But you couldn't. I was wanting to go on and do better, and I couldn't get on for the rest of the weekend. I came close, and that man let out the most rancid fart, right? That honestly, I nearly died.
He did a skull monkey fart, did he?
Oh, it was. It was like, I'm not going near that machine again for the rest of the weekend.
Yes, he does have that superpower. And what's worse is that he genuinely can't smell. I mean, biologically, he can't smell. It's the thing that he's had since birth. So he can't even smell what he's cooking.
Oh no!
So he's got double superpower. He can't even. He doesn't even join in the suffering of others. Fantastic. Well, another great one.
Yep.
Really, really love this one, and I mean, it's just hit after hit. I've been really enjoying these games.
Yep.
Right, okay, so we go on to our penultimate one then.
Wow, already.
So our penultimate one is Adventures of Lomax, released in 1996 by Psygnosis. And this is a really interesting one because it's basically a Lemmings platform game. I mean, it's one that I discovered way back when, like in a retro game shop. I was like, that's Lemmings on the front. What am I looking at here? And taking it home and realising it is a Lemmings platform game that I never ever heard of. And I'd loved it ever since. I mean, it's got the most amazing artwork. This is done by Henk Nierberg, who... of course, Lionheart. He did the Amber Moon, Amber Star RPGs on the Amiga, Flink. But of course, more recently, he did Gunlord, that amazing game, Gunlord X as well.
Yeah.
Xenocrisis and Battle Axe. And he's also done that Tiny Thor game, which is I'm still determined to buy.
Just buy it, for goodness sake.
I will. The trouble is, I've done too many treats. It's like, actually, just as a side, I really, in the Black Friday sale, you know, the new the Harry Potter game.
Oh yeah, that's maybe quite good actually.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good, and it's like 50% off. So it's still like 37 quid, like in the sale, but the XS version.
Okay.
But I really like. Part of me really likes the idea of it, but then the other part of me knows that I probably won't get round to playing it properly for years because there's all these other games that. So I'm holding off at the moment and hope it will go in sale again because it is. I mean, I did the special offer of the Game Pass. So we're offering it for because I'd cancelled it for a few months. They'd offered it for £1 for like 2 months.
Yeah, I've been offered that as well, actually. Yeah,
so good. I mean, I know this is one that you love, and to be honest, despite your recommendation, I never sat down and played it properly. I sort of almost did the first game that was on the list of A to Z of A Short Hike.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's awesome.
What did you think of that then? I mean,
amazing.
I had a hellish hangover after a works night out one day, and I felt like shit, and I sat and played that till I completed it. What a story! Quite an emotional story, actually. But
no, don't ruin it because I haven't reached the end yet.
Okay.
But I've got all 7 of the of the golden feathers. So
oh, well done, you.
Should be able to get to the top.
Get to the top heights, the lofty heights of the mountain now.
But I was thinking it's a perfect game, actually. I'm going to introduce it to Mira because it's a perfect game because she can't really die in it, can she?
No. Well, if there's a game like that, I'll tell you what she needs to play then. There's a game called Alba. Right, if you've seen that, it's a little girl that goes and visits her grandparents on like a Spanish island, right? And she's a little eco warrior, and she needs to photograph all the wildlife and prevent a hotel being built on the island. It's beautiful and sensational, and it gets overwhelming positive reviews on Steam. And I recommend it. And you just go and take photographs of squirrels and ducks, and she'll love it.
Alba.
Alba. ALBA.
Oh,
check that out. It's beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, there's so many good games, isn't there?
That's infinite.
And that's why I'm trying to stop myself because I keep buying them. And I bought loads on the Switch library.
You're a nutter for that, by the way.
But they're only like a couple of quid. It's just
a bit. Oh, it adds up.
I know, but it's still a couple of quid. I've seen your Steam library. Don't you throw stones?
Don't you start.
Throwing your stones there. I'll give you shade.
Nearing 2,000 games.
Oh, it is crazy. It is crazy. Yeah. This is it. We just asked. I was even
we love
looking...
games.
Oh,
we love
games.
video games, yeah.
But it's like, I mean, even that, I'm going back to that Game Pass. I mean, there's like games on there. It's like just that
crazy.
One little corner of things. And it's like, yeah, that's a lifetime, isn't it? We live in a spoiled world.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's go back to Adventures of Lomax.
There's
So Adventures of Lomax, it's very much, actually, if you play games like Flink, it's very similar. Rayman, actually, is another heavy inspiration.
I mean, if you go back and play Flink, then you'll see the origins of this, but you will get muddled between this and Rayman to a certain degree. Yeah.
I mean, basically, it's gorgeous artwork, as I mentioned. Hank did the artwork. Just so much detail and beauty, and it's a very simple idea, really. You attack the enemy evil lemmings that turn them into good, and they sort of like They get their little umbrella out and disappear off, and
a little lemming voice then.
little lemming voice, and as you go a little bit later on, you get power ups, so you can do like build bridges and all the things like dig holes and things like in the Lemmings. So it's nice you get that little puzzle element. But I mean, ultimately, it's just a beautiful, beautiful looking platform game. Not the deepest, but you'll have a blast playing, and it's cool that there is a Lemmings platform game. There's another Lemmings game to enjoy.
It's better than Lemmings 3D.
It's certainly better than Lemmings 3D. That's not saying a lot though, but yeah. I mean, what's your memories of this one? How did you?
I bought this. I mean, this is another game I own. So,
did you buy it back in the day on the PlayStation?
Yeah.
Because I came to it later, as I mentioned.
Yeah, I bought it back in the day, and I think you're underselling the animation frames in this. As gorgeous as Rayman is, okay, this has some of the finest sprite art I've ever seen. Right, actually, it's another one you go back to, and I went, "Oh, this is going to be dated," and it's not. Maybe some of the gameplay, to a certain degree, is like all of these ones that is off its time, and things in that way date. But there's so much detail in the graphics in this game that just blows you away. It's beautiful to look at.
It's one of the most beautiful games I think I've ever seen. It just like the pirate ship with all the like the ghost skeletons, and you've got that beautiful moon with the clouds, and it's all obviously parallax scrolling. It's just so many visually wonderful sections.
Yeah, I don't think the game changes all that much all the way through, to be honest.
No. I mean, you get the power-ups, but that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah, but the way the layouts are, you have to, it's almost zigzaggy, work your way along right, diagonally up left, and there's some multiple directions just to get you find all your zombified lemming friends that you need to convert back to being lemmings. But there's some good pseudo 3D elements to it that just gives a layer of depth, which is wonderful. And I'm just generally in awe at how well sprite graphics could evolve. And I always wonder, it makes you think, could this game have been done on the Mega Drive or the SNES? Does it need the graphical power of a 32-bit console to make this work? I think possibly in this one it does. There's just so much going on.
I think the colour depth and and the amount of parallax and there's a lot of clever
the amount of
things
parallax, the way the mists work, the whale things.
Or lots of little sprites you get like I don't know, little floating things in the air and stuff to give it.
Yeah, it's just subtleties that give a bit of depth and atmosphere to the game, isn't it? It's just absolutely incredible. But it's a joy to play. Yet again, we keep saying graphics don't make a game; they keep you in awe. But I think it's quite an enjoyable.
It's an enjoyable platform. I mean, it's a frustrating one. I'm not going to lie. There's bits where I was tearing my hair out, like gnashing my teeth, because it's like kept on like screwing up section. Partly because that's on me, but sometimes some of the physics is quite. It's not. It's you got the inertia physics, so it's quite easy to fall off of. Off of a level and things, and there's sometimes when you've got to be on the center of a platform, like the leaves, for example. It's quite where you perhaps think you've hit the leaf, you haven't, because it's not quite where the invisible behind the scenes platform is, isn't it? But it's also got like the sections a bit like how Bug used to be, where you can walk away from the camera on certain levels, like walk over bridges and work your way through, as you say, zigzagging through.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I adored this game. I thought it was. I mean, I loved it back when I discovered it. Not back in the day, but it was an early retro game that I'd picked up. When I was first discovering PlayStation properly. I first owned a PlayStation, and it was nice to go back to it because it's another one that I'd always had fond memories of it, but it's one that for whatever reason I'd never.
You invested the time it deserves,
invested the time since. I mean, back in the day, a few years ago, I'd played it quite a bit. But it was a long, long time ago. And to go back to it was a real joy.
Yeah.
Real joy, yeah. So I'm pretty sure we've covered this game before as well. one of the episodes, but it was like several years ago, so it was like, I thought we're all right to cover it again.
Before my time.
probably. Fantastic. Any more you want to say with this? I don't think there's
No,
any
I mean,
particular
all I can
bits.
say is I'm just always chuffed that a game from my neck of the woods, obviously original Lemmings, coming from Dundee, has evolved to this kind of international status, you know what I mean? It's great to see Lemmings is still alive. You need to come up this way and we'll go lemming hunting for the little bronze statues in Dundee, mate.
Well, you mean the no? I mean obviously the team that worked on this, are they Dutch or is that?
Yes, it's not the original team. I'm not meaning that, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is something that evolved from that is still alive.
I really hate the fact that Sony owns Lemmings because they do sod all with it, and
Yeah.
I love the Lemmings games, and it just seems such a shame really that there's been a couple of re-releases, isn't it? But they've never really taken what was beautiful about the Lemmings games. And of course, Sony being Sony, they sort of lock. That's why you'll probably never see it on things like Antstream or other devices, because Sony are like, even though they've closed down Psygnosis Studio all those years, they've never really done anything with any of their properties really.
Nope.
So it does annoy me with that. I mean, at least one thing I would say with like Xbox, and even though they screwed up Rare, they are allowing it on other platforms. Recently Banjo-Kazooie's coming across to Nintendo.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, another sidestep, but just about remasters and things. Did you see that they've done a Half-Life patch update for free?
Yes.
That's really good for 25 years. That makes me feel really old.
It does make you feel old, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I'm very keen to get my teeth into playing Half-Life again after that patch. It's just it's just time, isn't it? That's the trouble.
But now you've got your VR, you've got to play Half-Life Alyx. I've been telling you for years.
I
to play
know.
this.
Well, it's really expensive, but now it's in the sale. It's £16.99.
Get it, seriously. Please buy it.
My problem is, and this is why I'm going to wait for another sale, is that I picked up quite a few. Like that Seventh Guest, I've not played properly. The problem is, as much as I love the VR, it's just having the time to play it. Because, I don't know, I can guarantee as soon as I put it on, my wife has this little click that goes, I think most women have this, where it's like, oh, man having fun, warning.
Exactly.
Don't you need to do the washing up? Don't you need to do X? Can you do Y? Can you go to the storage unit? And it's like that. That's what she doesn't mean it. I know she doesn't mean it, but I guarantee without fail there'll be some reason I have to take the headset off within 5 minutes of being on. But yeah, no, it does look very good, the Half-Life in it, and £16.99 did have me wavering.
It was. I thought it was the best VR title I've played, personally.
Yeah, no, I will. I don't know, I'll wait. It'll come in. I've decided, rather than I keep leaping on all these sales, it will come up again. It will come up again.
Absolutely do.
Anyway, and I kept on saying so. I'll buy it, and at least when I retire or whatever, I'll be able to enjoy it. But I see my dad gets nagged just as much by my mum.
Yeah, it's never ending.
It's never ending. So it's like, I don't think I'll ever have time to really play a lot of these games. But anyway, this one is 90 quid to pick up. I was quite surprised how expensive it is because I own this. So I was like, ooh, £90. They're selling it on eBay. With Ventures Lomax, that is. Sorry, we're after the. Any more you want to say about that game?
No, I'm good. I'm good on that one.
Right, okay, we're on our final game, and this came out in the year 2000 by Capcom, and it is Strider 2. Now, this is not to be confused with the rather terrible US Gold Strider 2 that came out in the 8-bits and the 16-bit era,
Nasty,
which was totally unofficial, by the way. I don't know how they got away with it. But Strider 2 by Capcom, this was originally the arcade game, and it sort of follows on the story. This time it's using 2.5D, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, this is a short game, but it's a lot of fun.
Because, albeit an arcade game, so therefore it is short, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite surprised when I got to the end of this. It was like, oh, because I was having a blast, so it was like playing through, thinking, this is great. And then it's like, oh, it's finished. Which I suppose is good for a game. But it's got so many cool bits with this. It's I particularly love the level where you're bouncing from flying car to flying vehicle.
Oh, it's superb, isn't it?
It's so much visual splendours. Yeah, I mean, what's your memories of this game?
Oh, I mean, rushed out to get this. I have to wind back to the 8-bit period. So I never ever saw Strider in arcades. It never came my way at all. So lucky enough for being, an arcade upstart, if you want, growing up in arcades, because they were there for me. Never did see Strider, but always saw screenshots of it. And back then, you never even saw rolling videos, did you? That wasn't a thing. You just saw screenshots and went, oh, that looks great. And I just thought Strider looked visually incredible. So
I think the Mega Drive was the one that I saw it originally on Games Master. I'm pretty sure it showed up on one of those. And then...
oh, cool. Whereas me playing it on the Spectrum port of it, that's where it goes back for me. And, I mean, it's at best mediocre, but I loved it back in the day because you got to cling to surfaces, hang with your hooks and slash things. So you thought, this is cool because it played a bit differently from other games. So I was well impressed with it, enjoyed it for what entertainment it provided me back in the day. So obviously then iterations of MAME or whatever about the same time. I've seen it. I didn't have a computer at that point, but my mate had it. You're playing games like this, but then therefore, Strider 2 gets nice. Yeah, again, never saw it in the arcade ever.
No.
To be honest, but rushed out to get this for the PlayStation and thoroughly enjoyed a proper 2.5D game, as you had said there. The main sprite is 2D, as some of the bad guys, not all of them. It's a bit of a mix here, but just the environment just gives a flavour of depth and 3D-ness that is just incredible. That it's a very interactive playground to play and climb up the walls, crawling across the roofs, slashing all the baddies, fighting the boss fights. It's sensational. And like you said, that level where it's a bit like Blade Runner or the Jetsons, whatever you want to call it. Well, the busy traffic is almost like a traffic jam. If you think the M25's bad or whatever, even in the air there's traffic, so you can leap across all the rooftops of the cars, fighting away. It's just absolutely brilliant.
There's so many moments like that. I mean, like it's pretty special. The Hong Kong sort of mechanical dragon that you're all like riding, trying to take out the enemy and of course he's twisting and turning. So you've got 1 minute you're hanging off upside down with your hook, it's sort of like grabbing onto the monster as you carry on through. Yeah, just so many moments like that. Yeah, it's a very good arcade game. As I say, the only complaint I could give for it, which I think is more of a sign of how much fun I was having with it, is that it was like suddenly it was like, oh, it's over. I want more. But I mean. Yeah, it can't really falter. I mean, it's probably about an hour's worth of gameplay here, isn't it? So it's
it's not long in that way, but for what it gives you, I mean, what I like most is there's a real good sensation of ascending to lofty heights in the game. Up skyscrapers and scaffolds, and it's almost like these idiots that think they're immortal and doing parkour at the top of the highest buildings in the world and that, and I'd rather have the agility and abilities of Strider to do that kind of shit than wear a pair of Nikes and climb up it or whatever. But it's got the good balance between battling and platforming. This is probably more out there that it's not 100% platform like the other games, is it? But there's a lot of leaping, there's a lot of climbing. even though you get to fight and hack and slash, it's still a platform game at its heart, isn't it?
Oh, 100%, yeah. And it's a pure, although it's a hack and slash, it's a pure arcade game in its heart as well, and all for the good reasons. I mean, yeah, I just, every moment it didn't let up, and it was surprising and enjoyable at every moment. I didn't like it keeps cutting, does all like the small Strider 2 screen, there's like a cut between.
Well, that's a bit jarring.
It's a bit jarring.
Isn't it?
I thought
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy that, but
Takes you. It's like all of a sudden the level ends. It's like, what happened there? I thought the game bugged up.
yeah. So I thought that was a misstep, but I'm sure there's technical reasons. I'll be honest, I've not played this in the arcade to know if that does the same thing. Actually, I'd only played the PlayStation.
Well,
version.
what I do, I've got another link to provide for the show notes, like with Mickey Mania
Or comparison.
with the Mega CD. Yeah, there's an arcade on the Sony ZN2 board against the PlayStation. So there's a good YouTube clip. I'll tell you one thing, it's pretty accurate and like for like.
Oh, you can get the
It's
sense.
one of these
Yeah,
ones
you
that-
didn't feel you're missing much, like even though.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've never actually fired this up in MAME, in all honesty.
No, I'd never, because to be honest, I don't mind Strider, but I'm not like obsessed like a lot of people are with Strider. The first game, people see it as like, some people see it as like one of the best games of all time, and I just never felt
It's
that.
not that. But,
People have different memories. It depends what you have grown up.
Yeah.
I don't take anyone away for having those thoughts, but yeah, just a really solid game. I mean, done by a lot of the team that had done all the X-Men and Marvel versus Superhero and Capcom, in the arcade.
Superb.
I don't think there was anybody involved in the original Strider, but ultimately I thought it was a solid game and one that I loved. I mean, it shows you the quality. I mean, I don't know what it was like for you, but probably my least favourite, and I'm still loving it, was probably that Strider 2, but I think that's not taking anything away. It's the quality of all the games.
That was up there for me, one of my favourite,
Is
actually,
it?
simply because that one very well upscaled, because a lot of it is polygons, that I had the fidelity along with the enjoyment. I didn't dislike any of them. I mean,
Hobson's choice choosing.
Massive. Yeah, I mean, I would say in this one, where a lot of episodes we may have, slightly different views, not disliking a game, but didn't like it as much as the other. And this one here, with our choices here, we were just like, this is great. I'm enjoying this why didn't we do this episode earlier? Because this is fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So go on then. Of the 6 that we've covered, what's your order of favourites?
Right, Little Ralph up there with the best for me. Then I would go for Mickey.
Yeah.
Then Lomax. I mean, it's hard. I'm saying that, but
They're all beautiful, aren't they? Yeah.
there are even Strider 2's up there. I would.
Sorry, I put you on the
I
spot
think
there.
only because of fidelity, Skull Monkeys comes at bottom, not because I didn't like the game, is because it's a bit more fuzzier now, and you had to have played it at the time to appreciate it better. So they're all top notch. And tomorrow I'll say a different running order, to be honest.
I mean,
that's the point.
yeah, I'm the same way. They're all really good. I mean, probably Skull Monkeys is my top. I didn't
good
seem
for
that
you.
bothered with it didn't strike me particularly that bothered with the fuzziness. Just the gameplay was solid and the humour.
Yeah.
And that bonus song just won me over. Little Ralph, very close second. I fell in love with that. I probably would go for Mickey Wild Adventure. I thought that was really good. Rayman, Adventures of Lomax. Just with Adventures of Lomax, as beautiful as it was, it got a bit samey.
Yeah, it does.
And then Strider 2. But as I say, even Strider 2, I would like crawl through broken glass to get to. I mean, they're all good. They're all really, really solid. So, I mean, but it's sort of open. This is what's sort of wonderful, isn't it, about emulation and things, that with DuckStation and things, that there's so many games, that there's such a library and wealth of games out there. And I really wish that they would make, not through like practices like Limited Run, where they charge a fortune for buying these games. I mean, as much as I love, I mean, they came out with that original, that collection of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And Strictly Limited and Limited Run. I always get confused which one it is. But the, but they're still like charging an absolute ridiculous fortune if you want it physically, and like to own it digitally, it's still like 26 quid. I just think it's too much. There's a lot of people that are sort of abusing the retro scene. A perfect example, and I know it might be an unpopular opinion, but Analog Pocket, the Analog company. I just think they're the worst in terms of practice, the quality of products, but they clearly, I wouldn't be put it past finding out that half of these people that are selling it for double the price are actually the Analog team, sort of like just scalping it. Yeah, because I mean, people are talking about they're having to wait a year to even see the product. Yeah. And they're paying ridiculous postage, like 70. I mean, people, our listeners on the Discord chat, was it something like 70 quid or something for postage? Yeah. I mean, it's just
postage. Yeah.
All of it is just reeks of ripping people's off with good faith, and I hate that with companies. But it's so annoying because the products they produce is amazing, and I would love one, but it just annoys me that that there's too many companies doing shit like this, and it's a shame because one of the things I love with emulation, but also there are good retro collections out there, and that's why I think it's so wonderful, things like Antstream and things like that, where there are affordable ways of getting into and discovering these games through legal means as well. Yeah. Sorry, little rant there, but that's just
no, go for it, mate.
So that was our 6 games. I think they were really, really good. I hope our listeners enjoyed them, and please give these games a try. Even if you played it back in the day, I think you'll be surprised how well these games hold up. Is there any honourable mentions? I don't think I necessarily have.
Oh, I mean, I suppose there is. I mean, you've got games like Tomba, Abe, the Oddworld, Abe's Exodus.
Yeah, I was going to say
Abe's Odyssey.
Yeah.
We've covered the Pandemonium games. Heart of Darkness.
Oh yeah, that's good one. Yeah.
As I suppose it's cinematic and a bit like Prince of Persia in that way. It's got like trial and error stuff where you will die, so it can piss people off a little bit. It's got that kind of what's his name? Why's my brain not working tonight? And the Indiana Jones fella on the Amiga and why's my brain not working?
Indiana Jones fella on the Amiga.
Well, you know what I mean. You die with spikes coming up the ground, a 2B platformer. My brain is generally
Rick Dangerous.
Rick Dangerous, thank you. I couldn't think of the name for the life of me, Paul. I was like, for crying out loud, why could I forget Rick Dangerous? Yes, Heart of Darkness has got those moments where you just have to know that thing's coming up.
It's definitely trial and error, isn't it? I think they're great suggestions. I don't really have any. I mean, there was a long list of suggestions when I did my initial brain dump, looking at people's top lists, but maybe we'll revisit some of these and have a look, because I particularly get excited with things like this because a lot of them are new to me. A lot of the ones are new to me, and therefore I imagine quite a few new to our listeners as well.
Okay, then, well, here's one for you. Have you ever tried Hermie Hopperhead?
We did cover it in the past.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's another
good one
to do.
Yes, that was really, really impressive. I can't remember where we covered it, but I did, because that was the only reason I left it off. Well, one, I'm glad I left it off the list because the quality of the games that we chose, I don't think it's necessarily quite up to that.
No, it's not as good as them. It has a bit more an Amiga vibe.
Really good though,
I sounds bad saying that when you say things feel like an Amiga, like it's an inferior quality, but I don't mean that. It just has a bit more bedroom coder feel to it. That's a better way of putting it.
It's less commercialised.
Yeah.
No, awesome suggestions. Yeah, no, fantastic episode. Any more you want to say, or any final shout-outs before we wrap things up?
Seriously, with these ones, or if there's any that you feel we should have done in this episode, if anyone wants to reach out on social media or Discord and say, well, here's your favourite ones, or you've never tried any of these, or the memories of these, please reach out and just have a chat about it, because we always love, being current and chatting with anyone about the latest episode. and it sparks more memories that we've maybe not said within the podcast itself.
Yeah, I know the vast majority in terms of numbers are still on our audio podcast, which is absolutely fine. But, you know, if you don't know with these games, have a little glance at our YouTube version that we'll do of this, because I think where the videos I think particularly come to their own is for the games that people perhaps didn't play back in the day, because there's only so much we can describe through voice and you know, to give you a sense of what it is. And I think we do quite a good job of getting an idea to people what it is.
Well, you do, I don't. But
well, I don't know about that. But they say like a picture paints 1,000 words, and the video I think will really give you a sense of how gorgeous these games are. So yeah.
Because there's a number of people now that don't commute anymore because of home work. So podcasting, they don't always necessarily get the same time to listen to that now because they listen to it on their commute. So here's a new way to do it, you know, just whack it up, look at, because you don't get to see our ugly faces. It's just
it's just a video for the
clips
video.
of
We're not
games.
going to do our ugly faces on it.
Yeah.
I think it's I'm like you. I think just it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, we've noticed. Figures have dropped. Like I think every podcast ever since the pandemic, because people. It is a different world now. People don't commute. I find it myself. I mean, like I used to listen to probably about 12 retro game podcasts. I don't listen to really religiously any these days, outside of our own, of course. And it's not that I think the quality's dropped on any of the others. It's just, it's just finding the time. I used to always put it on when I used to commute, and now I don't do it.
Yeah, luckily, because I still drive.
You can get it
to work. I've got about a 25-minute commute to and fro, so you know, you can within, you know, a couple of days you've finished an episode, so it's good. I still enjoy that. I'm lucky that I can do that.
Yeah. Well, you know, I sort of get it'd be nice, and likewise though, you know, shout out to our Discord channel. Everybody on there is awesome. There's always like banter. I mean, I'm probably terrible for that one. Kingy's a lot better than me for sort of being on there. But every time I do hop on, it's just lovely to see all the random banter that's going on.
It's good. It's a great
and advice. I mean, people give loads of retro game advice as well. So so shout out with all that, please. You know, it's all and the thing to stress with all of this, you know, whether it's totally free. We don't do any like Patreon or anything like that, or things behind a paywall, because we do all this for fun. That's the primary thing. So it's just done for the love of it. It's there if you want. Brill. Okay, well, I guess we'll wrap things up. What tune do you think we should round things off with?
Oh, it's got to be something from Skull Monkeys. Got to be Skull Monkeys.
Got to be Skull
Definitely.
Monkeys. Okay, we'll round off with
you choose it, but something funky from Skull Monkeys, mate.
Yeah, I might do a medley. I don't know. There's so many good songs on there. Oh, fantastic. Well, until next time, we haven't even worked out what our next episode's going to be because we live by the seat of our pants. But
I mean, we're getting to that hard to nail down period anyway, aren't we? It's becoming the festive period, and but we'll get a good one out before the year's end anyway.
We'll crack a good one off. Yeah, is what you say. Cool. Right. Okay. Well, until next time, keep it retro.
Bye-bye.
Yum a dum a doo ba dum. Yum a dum a doo ba dum.